Hi, it's Marianna. I'm the co-founder of Summer Fridays and host of the Life with Marianna podcast. This episode really feels like a dream come true for me. I am a millennial girl. I grew up listening to No Doubt. I had my Walkman, I had my CD, and it just is very surreal to me that I'm even saying that this episode is with the Gwen Stefani. Like, if I could go back and tell my teenage self or even my current self that I was doing this, I would really just not believe it. And sitting down to record this episode, I see why Gwen Stefani has had such an amazing career with longevity, all that she's accomplished, because she is just so charismatic. I had the best time recording with her, and I really felt like I got to learn so much more about her than I even knew, and I think you guys will too. We talk about her journey with motherhood and balance, and maybe not having balance and too many good things to choose from, starting her new makeup brand Give that's available at Sephora, where she finds inspiration from. She even scrolls Pinterest just like us, and what she does when she needs to feel some inspiration. And I love this practice that she had. So if you guys are listening to this episode, I would love to send you some goodies from the two of us. So we've got some Summer Fridays and Give Beauty to send you. So just screenshot this episode and tag me and Gwen Stefani wherever you guys are listening to this, or share something from the episode. And I'm going to pick 5 of you to send some goodies from. So you'll get a DM and we'll send you a few products that I hope you guys will love. I know you guys are going to love this episode. And don't forget to subscribe to my podcast because I've got new episodes every Tuesday. I obviously know what you do now for a job, but what did you want to do or be when you grew up?
Did I grow up yet? I'm working on it. I really was one of these kind of kids that had not like long-term goals or dreams, because I grew up just basically like floating through. And like I had this older brother, that's my baby brother over there, but my older brother is like this really talented artist, creative person, like lots of like, just I did everything he wanted me to do. You know what I mean? So I didn't really think that far ahead. So that's a loaded question. But I think that I had no idea. I just really didn't have any kind of idea what I was going to do. I kind of was panicking about it too. I was kind of like, if I can just get through high school, like then I'll figure it out. I ended up going to like junior college, Cypress College first. Then I went to Fullerton College because my friends were there. Then I finally like transferred to Cal State, and I was like, okay, listen, like you are not good at school. We know that, but you love art. I mean, that's like the one thing. I didn't really know what you could do in art. So I started taking art as a major. And that was when I was like, okay, like at this point, I'm still living at home. I live with my parents. I'm 24, 25. I'd already written like Just a Girl, all the songs. We'd been in the band for 9 years. Going to school for forever. Yeah, since 17 in the band. And then I just was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to paint the Tragic Kingdom cover. Like I want it to be like an orange crate, like art, you know? And so I started doing all these art classes, life drawing. And I was like, yeah, I'm finally home. Like I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I'm good at this. And then they were like, Just a Girl got on the radio. And then that's the rest of my life. Like, you know, from there. But it was very blessed that I got what I got. I'm not like, if you knew me, you can ask my brother, he's right there. Like I am just really ordinary, passive girl from Orange County that just got lucky. So
well, you talked about Just a Girl, and I grew up listening to No Doubt. So it's like, I've known this song, what feels like a lot of my life, but it's got this like second wave now with TikTok.
It's weird.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. And I'm not like super TikTok literate. Like I'm kind of proud of myself that I'm, just because it's like there's only so much time in life, but it's been fun to get to know some of the people that are actually really good at it. And so the fact that the songs are sort of like having a new life on there is just something you could have never predicted. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, what? Especially a song like that when I wrote it, I even when I wrote it, I was like, oh, I know this is going to be like a moment in my life that I captured, but it's going to like, I'm going to grow up and I'm not going to be a girl. I'm going to be a lady. You know what I mean? And that would be weird to sing this song when I'm older. And weirdly, lyrically, the lyrics just keep lasting and being kind of relevant. So I'm quite proud of that. It was just one of those things that you do in your life, which I'm sure you've had with your company, like where it just comes to you. Like it just kind of comes like an answer to a prayer, or not even like a dream or a prayer, just is there. And you're like, I got to do this. And then it turns into something that's bigger than you thought. And that's kind of everything that's happened to me in my whole life.
What did the song mean to you then? And what do you think it means to you now?
I think then it was really simple. Like I try to describe myself when I was younger. I was very simple. And then you start to become like a teenager and like you're walking to school and like somebody whistles at you and you're like, what? What does that mean? You know, like you start to discover your sexuality and the power you have within that. And then you start to realize that you're actually kind of a victim in some ways because like my dad's like, no, you got to be home at this time. This could happen to you. You're like, oh my gosh, like I'm like people could prey on me. Like you just have these realizations as a human, right? And I think I started to try to think about that. Like it was a sarcastic way of saying like, yeah, I'm just this, you know what I mean? And obviously I'm just a person. Do you know what I mean? I didn't really think about it outside of that. And then I just wrote a song about it. It was very like off the cuff, sort of sitting in home, my parents' house, like wrote the song. Like didn't even think much about it except for that it really like was so real to like what I felt at that minute. And when I was writing all those songs, I didn't even write a song. And then all of a sudden I just wrote a song. Like it was like really like out of nowhere. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I just all of a sudden wrote one. I was like, oh, I didn't know I could do like I couldn't. It's like if somebody like all of a sudden did like backflips down like the driveway and they were like, oh my God, I didn't know I could do a backflip. It was like that. And then I just kept writing them. And I remember showing them to my dad. And my dad was like, well, and he's like, kind of like this, like, I showed your song to this guy at work and like, it's really good. Like, you should just like, don't change anything. Like, just keep going. Like, you know, he was very much like encouraging me, like, you're onto something here. Not that he ever said we would make it, but he did think that the writing was good. And I was like, oh my God, I'm good at something. Like, it was really the beginning of my life when I wrote my first song.
And how is writing a part of your life now? Like, even if it's not for music, do you journal?
Why are you practices? This up? I was having this whole conversation with myself about this morning. I think that the older you get and like the being so like blessed and being able to have like, you know, somebody pay attention to you at all in the world, let alone like your art or your position in life or your ideas. Like, it's just such a thing that we all want so bad. And when you actually get so kind of spoiled, like I have been, like where it's like, oh, I'm going to think this up and someone's going to say, oh, that was good. Or I relate to you, or you saved my life, like, or whatever the things that I've got to experience. If you don't want to stop, like you always want that, like you want to press that button again. It feels good. You know, it's no different than like pressing onto Instagram and posting something. And you're like, oh, I want to see what it's the reaction that I've had even before social media with just writing music. So I love that. I feel like that's the one thing that's kind of made me feel like I'm something in the world by writing the music. So to stop would make me feel, you know, I feel it's hard for me to stop. And so like I do write all the time, but it's one of those things, you know, like I was thinking about this today, like if I want to go do a show, like I did the Honda Center last weekend, I could just go do that show if I want. And I'm so lucky like that, but I still like to write the new ones because they still capture where I'm at in my life. You know what I mean? So I still love writing. I just think it's just one of those things where you're like, I know that it takes a lot of time up. And like we were talking about time before we started, like, what should I be doing with my time right now? You know, when you're a mom and when you're a wife and you just want to make sure that you don't miss anything because it just goes so quick. And you could continue to like for me, when I write songs, it's kind of like an ego thing. Like, it's like, oh, I just wrote this song. Like, it makes me feel good about myself. And then, you know, I want to share it, but it's like, I kind of feel like I'm forcing it on people sometimes.
You've done so many great things and like songs that are iconic. And I think with you, I think about like longevity, right? So I think like for you, I've seen so many celebrities come and go, but like for you, it's like, I have loved you and followed you and like for so long that like you still are who you are today and you still have so many amazing things to look forward to. So like, how do you think about your career and like what you're doing and what you continue to like bring on your plate? Because you could say, okay, like I've done the things I want. Like I'm just gonna.
It is really a weird place right now in my life with all of those questions. Like, I swear to you, like all I did this morning was talk about this. I just feel like it's one of those things, like balance is impossible, but it's one of the things you need to just try to get. And I think obviously you just have to sort of like make a chart and be like, okay, what is number one? What is number two? Like because you can't predict how you're going to feel. Like we were talking about starting Give, and I started Give because I had done other things in my life with like building companies with, you know, Lamb, which was just beyond a dream. Like I was like, I don't even know, at that time, nobody was doing stuff like that, but I was like, I want to make my own clothing line. Like I could do it. Like I was so naive about it. I just was like, I'm going to go do this. Like, And it wasn't just me. Like someone asked me if I wanted to do it. And I was like, oh, you're going to pay for it? All right, let's do it. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to be at New York Fashion Week. And I was like, it was crazy. And like, I'd always made my own clothes. My mom made my clothes. Her mom made our, you know what I mean? It was like all in our family, the sewing and being creative in that way. And so I wanted to do that. But I think that like after when my life fell apart, people know this, whoever's probably even listening right now, but I, you know, my family fell apart. And at that point it was like, I really needed to assess everything and try to pick up and like go on to the next chapter. And I felt like I wanted to start something really new and fresh that was sort of like going to be my legacy, like my thing that I did after I got my life back together. And that was Give. Like, it was like, out of all the things that I've worked on, like, I think it's really fun to do clothes, but it feels very like specific. You know what I mean? Like when I did handbags, like then more people can enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? And like we talked about, like more is more. Like the more people that can like pay attention to you, like, yay. You know what I mean? I really like doing things that were, you know, broad like that, like out of all the things that I'd done. So to be able to do makeup, which has always been probably my first love, my first thing that I identified with as like, I'm good at this. Like, this is what makes me feel good. This is what I don't know why. Like, why do I like pizza? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, and so like from the very early days, like makeup for me, and I was just always like, you know, well, it's back in style, Barbies, you know, hair, makeup. Like I was the one that cut everybody's hair and curled it and curling iron burns. And like, you know what I mean? Like I was the one, even guys, like I would be the one that came over, you know, gave everybody haircuts. And I just always liked that kind of stuff. Loved like anything that was like old vintage. Like I used to watch old movies and watch the makeup. And so I ended up being a makeup artist when I was about like 20, maybe. And I worked at Ultima 2. And when they had the original Nakeds, they were called. And I believe I never heard of anything called Nakeds until that happened. And then there was a brand called Borghese, you might have heard of it, Italian brand. So I did those two. And I honestly like didn't have any experience. Like they were like, okay, like they didn't even give me like a lab coat or nothing. Like they were like, just open the like thing. Clinique was here and they were like, make a display. And like, people would come in and they would be like, can I have a sample? Can you do my makeup? And I would just be like, yes. And nobody bought makeup from me, but.
Well, they're buying makeup from you now. And I feel like for you, it's like your beauty looks are so iconic. Like I can think back over the years of like looks that you've created and looks that you've done. And like a lot of those trends are coming back now. Like they're mimicking like so styles that you had before.
That's weird. I mean, everything feels like it's being recycled in some way right now. I think that's probably, I was trying to analyze it. I was thinking because like back in the day, what we had to reference was like my mom's pictures when she was in the 1960s and she graduated from high school and like her hair, you know what I mean? Like, or, you know, you would see old movies and that would be something that would inspire us because you didn't have the internet, right? You didn't have, you go to the library and look at an old book with like 1970s models or, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It was very like, it was like a long drawn out thing to be inspired. And, or just, you know, Vogue magazine or any of the magazines back then, catalogs, Sears. I mean, honestly, yes. That's what we looked at. So I think to have like instant access to like all these, everything that's ever happened, especially in style, like just go to Pinterest and be like, okay, you know, what happened in the 60s? Like I want that makeup. You can just find it and you can find every version of it from every decade. And you know what I mean? So to be able to like be creative with all that access to information is just a different time. And it's kind of super exciting. And I think that's one of the other reasons I started wanting to do a makeup line because I had collaborated with Urban Decay with Wendy and she came up at the same time as me. We were like the same age. She's from Newport. I'm from Anaheim. She built this whole company herself and she has 2 little boys. And it was just like very like similar stories. She did that collaboration with me. And that was after I had worked with, you know, Revlon, L'Oreal, like all and when I got those gigs, like I was like, you guys should pay me more because you don't understand. Like I'm like a makeup fanatic. Like you got the right girl. Like I could talk about makeup all day long. Like if you know about makeup, like I know about makeup, or if you are obsessed, like I'm about makeup, then you know you're talking the same language as me. Like we could talk about it. I did that, and then I remember laying in bed with Blake, and the palette had come out, and he's like, ooh, let's go watch another video because all these girls were like taking these makeup palette and making their own looks. And this is like back when it was kind of newish, you know. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it was happening before I discovered it, but it was like all these like, influencers. And I was like, what's that? Like, because it was just new at the time. And so it was just very cool to watch. For me, it's like the trickle down effect of the inspiration in the beauty world is we all just, I don't know, unless you're into it, you don't care. But if you're into it, it's just really exciting. And that's why we're here right now talking to each other, right? Like, I mean, I came down here to talk to you because we're excited about makeup and products and how you just said it when I walked in, how it makes you feel. If you feel like your skin is fresh and good and that you can just walk out the door and go on with all the other things you need to do in your day. And that's kind of, I feel the exact same way. And I feel like it's really exciting to be able, especially at my age, to be able to share that with people. Like, I think there's a lot of people out there that don't understand like the power, like I wrote a song back in the day called Magic's in the Makeup, like way long time ago. So I'm saying like, it's like always been there for me. And so now to be able to be in this world has been super exciting. I think the creative part of it is the thing I love obviously the most. And not only that, but just like I love design. So I love like, I'm sure you're in the same when you get to design a product, and it's no different than writing a song or, putting an outfit together. It's the process of getting creative and like being like, okay, this is the formula. Like this is what I like. And I made this up with obviously the help of factory and like all these amazing chemists and stuff like that. And then being able to share it is just like cool.
At what point were you like, okay, I've done this with other brands, I worked with other people, like it's time for me to do my own? And why the name Give?
I think it was after working with some of the bigger companies, they had come to me like saying, oh, let's do this or let's do that. And I was kind of like, okay, but I want to do it like this or like that. And they'd be like, no, we're just going to do it like this, like that. And I'd be like, I don't really feel like comfortable doing that. You know what I mean? Just because it's like, if I'm going to put something in the world, then it has to be something that I truly, truly like believe in. Like, I feel like there's been on my journey, like so many people that have trusted me, whether it be like to listen to the song or again, like buy a handbag, whatever it is. I always want it to be real. Like, I want it to be pure, like from an artistic point of view. So I just guess I felt like I just needed to do it myself. And I also like explained, like it was that timing in my life where I wanted to do something. I thought about all the different, like I thought about for a minute, I wanted to do this other company. I had a couple of things out there, but the makeup for me was just always something like after doing the Urban Decay thing. And I just felt like it was like, it's so authentic to who I am. Like I just wanted to do it. And Give was, as you know, every name in the world's already taken. So that was really rough. I went through so many names, and I used to sign my name GX, like with like X being the kiss or whatever. And forever, I was always thinking about how makeup is not just for you in the morning, but it's also like, I did this for you. Like you're looking at me, I'm not looking at me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking at you, and you decided to look beautiful like that for me today. And I know that. Like, and you notice that when people put on, their makeup. Like I'll go in and see some girl with some crazy eyeliner and be like, I'll for sure be like, just so you know, like that eyeliner is so amazing. Like I know you took your time this morning on that. Like, thank you, because she's given it to me. So I felt like Give was like a really good way to describe what makeup does for yourself and for somebody else, So that's kind of how I came up with it.
And then your personal style, how does it carry over to the brand, the products that you have? Like, who is this brand and product for?
I think that for me, like I always kind of selfishly start with what would I like if it passes the test of what I would like, you know what I mean? I'm sure it's the same for you. Like you're not going to put something out. I mean, we're not all the same when it comes to makeup and skincare. Like that is for sure. I think I start with me, but then of course, like, some people, like I like a really sticky, thick lip gloss. Like that's what I like. Cause I like when it just dries on there and it's sort of there forever. Cause I have that lifestyle. Other people like to just put it on there and like feel it, move it around. They want that buttery feel, whatever it is. And so I think over time, you kind of are going to design for the opposite of what you might wear, or I'm sure you do the same thing with your line. And that's part where it probably challenges me the most. Like even like with color cosmetics, like knowing, what's out there, you have to rely on a lot of people to help you with like all the different tones and like all the different kinds of skin out there, eyes, like even doing other people's makeup, because I can do my makeup all day long, but when you're doing other people's makeup, like it's a completely different experience. And even though I used to do that way back in the day, I don't do it very often anymore. And so I started doing it again. Like I had my sister-in-law come over, I had my assistant, I had my hairdresser, like just doing their makeup. And like, it's just such a fun gift, you do it and they just feel so good. And it's just such a great feeling. And like my hairdresser, she's crazy, by the way, Suzette. She literally slept in her makeup when I did it. She's like, no, girl, I'm going to sleep in my, are you kidding me? Like she took like all these headshots. Like
no. Good glam makes you want to do that. Like, your makeup good, you're like, I don't really want to wash this off yet.
I know.
It looks really
it's so
good.
Fun. Everyone that is listening is probably one of us. Like when it comes to like, they care about this stuff. You know what I mean? So I don't feel weird talking about it because I think that it's just one of those things that you either are in it or not. And if you're not, you might be in it if somebody like shared it with you and like you got that feeling. You know what I mean? Like if someone that was like, I know your makeup's really like more about like less is more, right? And my makeup's a little bit more about like more is more. But I do like less is more too. Like I'm like
more is more too. There's like
less is more is hard. More is more is easy. And I think that less is more is really hard. Like when I'm over, in Oklahoma on the ranch, like I want to, put makeup on that's lighter and feel good. And I feel like I find it challenging because it's like, oh my God, like where are the lashes?
So when you're in Oklahoma though, like what's your like everyday makeup look? Like if you're just doing your makeup yourself just to like not go anywhere?
Some days it depends on the weather because like we like to garden a lot too, like on a big scale, like really garden, like huge sunflower patches and like, so there's a lot of, outdoor, like, and it gets really hot there and the weather's crazy. And so sometimes it just has to be no makeup. And yeah, and it kind of feels good too, to do that once in a while.
The brand is available at Sephora. So why Sephora? Why did you want to launch there?
Sephora still feels new, being that I used to work at the makeup counter and have that experience of behind and wanting to be like behind the counter, but feeling a little intimidated, feeling like they know everything, I know nothing. Like, even like going into like maybe a Mac store back in the 90s when it was like all artists and, like even as being me, like I would feel intimidated to go in there because it's like, what do you do with these pigments? Like what is this makeup? Like everything was so artistic. It felt out of my league. You know what I mean? And then this great idea comes along and it's Sephora, right? It's supposed to be this place where you can just touch everything yourself and like see a bunch of brands all together and like, have the experts there if you need them. And like, I think it's just like a great idea and takes a little bit of the intimidation and pressure out of it. You know what I mean? And it just feels kind of new still for me. But at the same time, I know they've been around and they've been just so great as partners, as you would know, because you're there as well. As they're just all about like, how can we help? Like they build brands. They're great partners. I'm not an expert on everything, especially when it comes to just knowing everything else that's out there. Like I'm not a marketing genius. I just want to make great makeup and make stuff that I want to wear and share it with people. Like it's pretty simple. Everybody there has been awesome. And, I've had a lot of different partnerships throughout my career and a lot of different people that come in and out. And when you find people that you feel like that understand who you are and aren't trying to force things on you, like that want you to be you, that's what I like.
So speaking of makeup, I want to know, what's your best seller?
I think it's our mascara actually, which is like awesome because I know
I've tried it.
The thing is, it's so competitive. Like you just can't even believe it. And everyone comes out with such good stuff. And some of the point of difference is just not that point of difference. You know what I mean? So like when we were making this mascara, I just wanted to make something that was, because I wear false lashes almost every day. Luckily, I know how to put them on. Like it took me a long time to learn how to do that as well. But so it's like, for me, the mascara is really like something that just holds my lashes on. So you really need that like base. I had said, I think this mascara is incredible, but I feel like it needs a little bit more dry time so I can play and work with it a little bit and build it a little bit. And they were like, okay, well, we don't think it needs that. We think you just need to try these 6 different brushes and that will fix it for you. I was like, that just sounds really weird and a gimmicky idea. Like, I don't see how a brush can make a difference. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just couldn't. It's either the formula, you're going to let it dry, like have a like longer dry time or not. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So anyways, we all went and we all, like the whole team tried it and we ended up with D, which is the brush that's on there. Yeah. And it's one of those things where it was just how much product was getting on the brush. And these are things that I'm still learning, and it's really fun. I mean, I have fun doing it.
And then for one of the products that you think deserves more love, Which one do you think it is?
Well, this is the problem. You're asking me to choose between my children. You know what I'm saying? It's like, there's nothing that I'm going to put out that I don't love. Right. So I think that for me, like all of my lip formulas, obviously that's the first thing I started with, just because you have to start somewhere. And I felt like people kind of wanted my red lip forever, and finally got to do that. I feel like the formulas are really, really good. Like I feel like my matte lipstick is, because that's what I pretty much wear. I'm worn for a million years, and to try to beat what I used to wear on stage and to be able to wear it all day long. Because I think a matte lipstick can be so drying and uncomfortable. And, you know, I'm so like militant with like, it doesn't matter. Like I can get through the day. Like it doesn't, I'll be uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Look at me right now. I'm like in fishnets and like for no reason. But I'll do it. I'll suck it up. But you have to think like a lot of people just are at work and they don't want to have that feeling, you know? So I wanted to get something that was comfortable and like, but also long wearing and all the things. And so I feel really proud of those. I think that I love my lip glosses. My lip glosses they're amazing.
I have a lip liner on today.
I hate to be like so like into it, but I love the brow pencils. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things you can't force it on people. You just have to be like, try it for yourself.
And you never know. It's like with TikTok, especially, like people will just try one product and then all of a sudden it's like everyone's loving something. You like didn't know where it like came from. And just like sometimes it just like needs love because you're like, I know this formula is amazing.
Yeah.
I know this product is great. People just need to like try this thing.
Yeah. And I think it's really easy on TikTok to be like, I want that. You know, like you just watch somebody put it on and you're like, oh my God, that looks amazing. I need to try that.
I'm always buying things. I'm like a big product junkie. So I'm like influenced by everything I see on TikTok, everything I see online. I'm like just trying and buy. I like love to try everything. I just want to try it.
I was just going to tell you my little, I don't know what you call her, my son's girlfriend, Lola. She loves your products so much. She does. They got so excited when they saw.
Thanks, Lola.
Yeah.
That's cute. Okay. You mentioned Pinterest. Do you scroll on Pinterest?
I do. You know, when I go to Pinterest, when I'm on The Voice and I have to do like a lot of looks in a row, I like to go on there and be like, oh, like I want to do, you know, like a 70s makeup look or whatever. And then you just go back through and like have references of, oh, I didn't remember like, oh, bottom lashes or what color blue is that they used to wear, you know, those kinds of things, just kind of for reference or yeah, for sure. I feel like I used to use it more, but now with TikTok and with other places to go, there's so many different places to go look.
And for any kind of inspiration, like where do you go to? Like, or is there something that you do? Like, let's say you're feeling uninspired, you want to write a song. What's your process?
I pray a lot. Prayer is like it seems like such a weird abstract thing, but my routine usually, especially if I'm like on a glam day, like I'll wake up, shower, do all that stuff, put my moisturizer, whatever it is. And then if I'm doing my own makeup, it's my own makeup. But if I'm not, same thing. I just go to like listen to the daily gospel, you know, try to listen to some reflection on that, try to think about what it is that I need to do in my life outside of everything else I'm doing. That is like, what is my purpose? Like, how do I hit that purpose? You know, like, because we all do have that. We have these gifts for a reason, you know what I mean? And it's like, I don't want to like end up dying and not like do my purpose. And it's really hard because there's a lot of distractions, you know, and there's a lot of like weird distractions where you're like, why am I caring about that? We talked about it earlier. It's like, I need to just do what I'm supposed to be doing, you know? And I know I'm kind of talking around in circles, but that is really a big part of who I am. And people ask me that all the time. Like, I mean, even before I go on stage, like I think about the songs I've written. I think I didn't write those songs. Those songs were handed down. It was a miracle. Like they were just handed down to me. And those were gifts to me. And the fact that they actually impact people's lives is just like, that is a miracle. And so when I go on stage and sing those, I am in prayer. Like I am in like prayer of gratitude, you know, like, you know, going back to the moment in time, what inspired me to write the song, like, you know, whatever pain I was going through, I had to go through, like we all have to go through in our lives. Like, you know, that is a huge, gigantic part is my faith and who I am and who I've always been, you know? And so it's a big ritual. And when I do my makeup before stage, which I always do my own makeup, I've always done my own makeup, it's just always listening to prayer, always in prayer. And so they think the two kind of go together for me. It's getting ready and being glammed and then praying and trying to get myself like focused to be the best version of myself that day. And it's just little goals, you know, every day. But that's just me.
And how do you filter out some of those distractions? Like when you're like, okay, there's too much going on. What do you do?
This is such a crazy day to be getting interviewed because the interviews are weird because like normal people in life you have your girlfriends, your mom, your friends you talk to about your life. But being interviewed is like, you really start to think about yourself, like, and you go back and you're like, and even like being on The Voice, I'm on The Voice this season, and you're basically going through the journey of these people that have these dreams, and you've already lived it, right? You've already got to do what they want to do. And so you start to think so much about your career and your life and how it's going by, and have I done enough, and have I done it right, and am I a good person? All those things, those questions, we all question ourselves, right? I think I just like assess it. Like we were talking about earlier when I walked in, like today was a huge day for that. It's like really thinking about like, why am I working so hard? Like I want to, be there for my kids. So it's just really trying to find the balance and scheduling around, what's important. And for anyone that's a mom out there, don't get it twisted. Like I know we're all just trying to get through the day, but it just goes so fast. Next thing you know, you're like, dang, I wish I was getting woken up in the night and having to nurse my baby right now, because that is over. You know what I mean? Like, and it's painful because they grow and then they have their own lives. And, I think it's really just trying to be present. I mean, we all struggle with it, and it's fun to talk about it. And I think it feels better to kind of talk about it because I know that we all do it. And how do you get that balance? The balance is just being, I guess, intentional and being like, okay, I know this is what I care about.
Yeah, it's really hard though, because I feel like there's so many things and you want to say yes to things and you love doing things. So it's like you love The Voice, you want to be there. You love the brand, you want to be there. But then it's like, okay, you need like your me time to like go garden, spend time by yourself.
I think it's just really trying to like say no to certain things that you don't need to be doing. Like, things that are important. We all know what those things are in our lives. We just have to be disciplined.
And we talked a little bit about your morning routine. You get up, shower, pray, get ready, do your glam. Do you have a nighttime routine?
Pretty simple. Wash off the makeup.
Your Dove soap.
I do actually use the body. I like that.
I use that body soap too. It's my favorite.
I do. I use it. I like that like cucumber one and the pretty, and the coconut. And I just, it's very rare that I get like a lot of time at that time, because that is like after dinner, just get the makeup off, like, and then it's like bedtime and books and all that. Do you have any kids?
No kids.
Oh,
just a dog.
Just a dog. You have to put the dog out to go pee.
Yeah.
The whole routine.
Kids one of these days, but it's like, you never think it's like the right time. And so it's like, you're always like, oh, like maybe one more year. And then the years just keep passing. So I guess the time is like never right, was basically what all my mom friends say.
Yeah. I think it's really, a lot of it's God's timing anyways, because it's kind of one of those miracles. Like, getting pregnant is just it's such a miracle, and it's such an incredible blessing to be a mother. I think it's really cool to be a mom to older kids, because you don't dream of that when you're a little girl. Like when you're a little girl, you're like, I want a baby doll. I want a baby. I want to dress them up. I want to kiss them. I'm going to change their diaper. I'm going to like burp them, and I'm going to like put them in my stroller. Like all the things that you dream of when you're a little girl and you have a baby, it is that. But then that's such a short amount of time of what they are. And so for me, to be able to, like, each stage has been, hard and amazing at the same time. And I look now having teenagers, oh, so emotional. And my mom used to always tell me, like, I loved it so much when you were teenagers. It was my favorite. Like, we would just drive around, and she'd basically like, because there was 4 of us, and we would, all the music from that time period was like the backdrop of, we had great music during high school years. It was like, is when Madonna came out, and like Depeche Mode and like The Cure and like Madness and all these like amazing groups. And so she would always be like, when those songs come on, she'd be like, oh, that was the greatest. Then again, my mom was only like 40 years old when I graduated. So she's like, she would just always tell me though, that was my favorite time of having kids, even though people complain about teenagers being rebellious, all the things, but it's just so cool, especially boys, watching them become them. And watching your impact on them and watching them just be them. It's just so cool. It really is. It's scary and cool.
And how has being a mother changed for you now that they're teenagers?
I think it's hard to go like, you don't want to be here for dinner? Like, what's wrong with you? I'm the greatest. But you think back to yourself and you're like, I wanted to be out doing this and doing that. Like, you want to be with your friends. It is hard. It's a hard adjustment. But at the same time, when we are all together, and that is just like, you just even are like, oh my God, you're just so in love with them, they're so cute.
I love how happy you look when you're talking about that.
Oh my God, it's so scary being a mom though. It's so hard. It's just, it's never not hard. And I know anyone that's listening that has kids, you know, and a lot of people that I know that have had careers similar to mine, that we work really hard. We've always worked really hard, but we're lucky because the work we have done is like been our passion. So it doesn't mean it's not hard and we don't work hard. It just means that we got so lucky, you know. And then you go back to be the mom and you're like, oh my God, this is the hardest job I've ever had to do. And everyone says that too. But it's also like, God, thank God I got to do it. You know, it's been great.
You talked about luck a few times, like with yourself, how you got lucky and like the songs came to you, and being on The Voice now, I think it gives you a lot of perspective probably. So what does it made you think about like your own career and where you've been able to take your life?
I just think, well, like I said, I'd done that show in Anaheim last weekend. I think it was last weekend. And it was kind of that weird coming home, you know, like it made me feel so blessed. And just, it's really hard to like take it in that you've had any kind of success, let alone I'm still able to just be able to do things and do fun, creative things. It's like, it's hard to believe it. I feel so blessed, obviously, you know, and just like we talked earlier, I don't want to stop. Like, I don't want to like just not be me anymore, you know, but I also want to have that balance. I think by doing the makeup line, it's been like a really cool way to be able to be home a lot too, you know, although then next thing you know, you're like, every day is like, oh, can you go talk on and it's fun. Like, look, I'm here. I'm having the best time. It's just a lot of too many good things, I guess.
It's a good problem to have.
I really have some really good problems.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Wait, we didn't even talk about you.
We don't need to talk
where's
about
my cards?
Another time you can interview me.
Okay.
Thank you for coming on.
Well, congratulations on everything. And oh my God, taking the time out to talk to me and everything. And I wish you the best. I mean, I have your products at home now. I'm going to do my nighttime routine. I'm going to put my mask on, your best-selling product. What's it called?
Jet lag mask.
Yeah, I'm going to put my jet lag mask on after this ponytail lift comes out.
Well, I feel like you're probably always jet lagged going somewhere doing something. Well, thank you so much.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.